3 spine-chilling true tales of being home alone on rainy nights. Terrifying secrets revealed. The rain hammered against the windows, relentless and loud, like 1,000 tiny fists demanding entry. In the middle of the storm, Jenna felt the weight of her life pressing down on her chest as she stirred the mac and cheese bubbling on the stove. The familiar sounds of the rain, usually a comforting backdrop, twisted into a sinister soundtrack. A chill ran through her as she glanced at her 2 children, Sarah and Ben, happily occupied with their toys. Their innocent laughter felt like a stark contrast to the brewing unease around them. A strange tapping noise echoed from the window, sharp and insistent. But when Jenna looked again, nothing was there. Just the sheets of rain obscuring the dark outside. The shadows of the trees whipped against the glass, casting odd shapes that flickered and danced. Jenna's heart raced as her thoughts began to spiral. Alone in her quiet suburban house, the isolation of her single-parent life crept in, tight and suffocating. "Mom!" Ben called, his voice cheerful. She forced a smile, her hands trembling slightly as she mixed the cheese. It felt as if the house itself were watching and waiting. The rain screamed louder, a deafening roar that drowned out her thoughts. And then silence, a chilling, enveloping silence. Jenna's eyes darted to the darkened corners of the room, shadows warping into something threatening. "What's wrong, Mom?" Sarah asked, her innocent expression hinting at something she couldn't articulate. There it was again, the tap-tap-tap, as if someone were beckoning from outside. She shook her head and tried to brush it off, forcing her breath to even out, but a knot formed in her stomach. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Suddenly, a loud bang rattled the front door, freezing Jenna in place. Goosebumps surfaced on her skin as panic clawed at her throat. Who would be knocking like that in the storm? Gathering her courage, she walked towards the door, the children following closely behind her, their eyes wide with fear. Her heart raced as she peered through the peephole. A dark figure cloaked in rain stood on the porch. "Jenna!" It was Mr. Thompson, their neighbor. His voice cracked with urgency. "I saw a suspicious figure lurking around. You should be careful." Unease quivered at the edge of her consciousness, her instincts on high alert. His gaze darted toward the children, sending a chill down her spine. "You need to lock your doors." As his words sank in, the lights flickered and then blinked out, throwing them into darkness. Jenna felt her breath quicken, and the dread wrapped around her like a vice. She fumbled for her phone, but couldn't shake the sensation that something sinister was watching from the shadows. The house creaked, the echo of footsteps rattling through the hallways. With her heart hammering in her chest, Jenna gripped the edge of the counter. If he could see a threat outside, what else was hidden behind their door? Was Mr. Thompson really there to help, or was he the real danger? As she stepped back toward the door, preparing to confront him, the thunder crashed above them, shaking the very foundation of the house. The storm bore down, and the night promised many more secrets. Could she protect her children from a haunting that brewed both inside and out? As she approached the door, every instinct screamed at her to turn back. But the storm outside was calling, and so was the darkness within. The moment Jenna opened the door, the gust of wind nearly knocked her back. The rain lashed at her face, a stinging reminder of the tempest outside. Mr. Thompson stood there, soaked and shivering, his eyes wide and frantic. "Jenna, please," he urged, his voice barely audible over the howling wind. "You have to listen to me." "Yes, close. Very close." "Who?" "The man I saw. I think he has been watching you." His words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jenna felt her cheeks flush, both from fear and indignation. This was her home. Had she really let herself become so paranoid that her neighbor believed someone was stalking them? The children flanked Jenna, their small bodies trembling against the tumultuous backdrop. Mommy Sarah whispered, clinging to her, "Let us go inside." Mr. Thompson glanced over his shoulder, concern tightening his features. "We need to lock the doors." Jenna stepped back, welcoming him inside but heart pounding at the idea of relying on someone else. As she closed the door, a sudden roar of thunder rattled the windows, and the pale light flickered back, illuminating the small kitchen. She locked the door, feeling a sense of false security wash over her. "Stay by me," she instructed the kids, holding their hands tightly as they huddled close. Mr. Thompson began to pace, his damp shoes squeaking against the floor. "I swear, Jenna, it was a man. A shadow moving among the trees in my yard. I've never seen him around here before," but his voice trailed off, the words caught in his throat, as if a realization struck him. "But what?" He locked eyes with her, and in that instant, she saw the scared man beneath the bravado. He had a hood over his head just like the figure in those horror movies. Just then, another crash of thunder ripped through the silence, and the lights flickered again, staying dim this time. The soft glow cast unsettling shadows that stretched along the walls, warping into ghastly shapes. "Find my phone," Jenna said, trying to keep her tone steady. "I need to call the police." While searching for her phone, a shrill scream tore through the house from upstairs, the unmistakable sound of a child. The air thickened with terror as Jenna's heart dropped. "Ben!" she shouted, breaking free from the group. She bolted for the stairs, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay hidden in the shadows. Ben was calling for her again, his tiny voice quaking, and she fought against the dread creeping along her spine. Jenna sprinted up the stairs, each step a maddening echo in the silence that followed. "I'm coming," she screamed, her voice ringing hollow. At the top, she saw the door to the kids' room partially ajar, a sliver of darkness waiting to swallow her whole. Gripping the doorknob, she hesitated. What if the figure was in there? Could Mr. Thompson's warnings be true? As she turned the knob, that cold sensation of being watched crawled up her neck again. With a swift motion, she pushed the door open. Inside, the room was dark, but her heart shattered the silence as she called out for Ben. His pitiful whimper came from the closet, and she rushed forward, heart racing. She flung the door wide open, revealing not just Ben, but something more, something sinister lurking behind him. A face pale, distorted, silent, with dread seeping into her bones. Jenna backed away, panic clawing at her throat, realizing all too late maybe her neighbor hadn't been the real threat after all. What had she let into their home? The figure stood there, its features indistinguishable, as if it had melted into the shadows just for her. Jenna's heart thundered, each beat pounding painfully in her ears. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the soft drumming of the rain against the window panes. "Ben!" she gasped, her voice cracking. The boy remained frozen, wide-eyed, staring not at her but at the looming figure behind him. "Mommy," he murmured, shifting toward the door, but Jenna felt rooted to the spot, the icy grip of fear preventing her from moving. "Get away from there," she cried, but as she reached forward, the figure twitched, a sharp movement that sent a bolt of terror through her. It was like a dream gone wrong, each second stretching painfully, as she fought the urge to run. "Ben, come to me," she finally shouted. Her voice was raw, firm, desperate. Slowly, he stepped back into her waiting arms, that innocent trust showing in his eyes even amidst the horror. The figure seemed undeterred, expanding into the faint light, a sickly shadow spilling forward. Jenna could taste the fear on her tongue now, bitter and metallic. "Let us get out," she urged Mr. Thompson, who had just appeared behind her, eyes wide. He took a step back, glancing nervously at the looming darkness. "No," he stammered, "we can't just run. We need to enough." Jenna snapped, forcing herself to focus. Whatever had invaded their lives was now somehow in their home. There was no time for posturing. She looked around for something, anything that could help, when a flash of lightning illuminated the figure momentarily. It wore a tattered hood, its face shrouded, but she could see the outline of a twisted smile spreading across its lips. A chill coursed down her spine, paralyzing her. "He's been watching us," Mr. Thompson whispered, as panic etched lines of fear deeper into his face. "We need to find something to defend ourselves." "Like what?" she shouted, her voice shaky. As if in answer, the figure lunged, sinuous and quick, too quick. Jenna screamed and pulled Ben close, shielding him with her body. Mr. Thompson grabbed a nearby lamp and swung it, shattering the fragile light against the wall as it connected with the figure, spilling glass and rays of light in all directions. For a brief moment, the room was aglow, illuminating the demonic presence. With a grunt, it staggered back, obscured again by darkness but not gone. She had mere seconds. "To the window," Jenna urged, pushing her children toward the side of the room opposite the figure. The rain had already begun to seep through, cold and thick, but there was no time to think. As she pulled at the window latch, it fought her, stuck in its frame as if cursed. Just then, she heard the sound of something scraping against the wall. Her heart sank. The figure was regaining itself close, too close. "Mommy!" Sarah screamed, frantically trying to keep up, her small body lodging itself between Jenna and the encroaching darkness. With a ferocity she didn't know she had, Jenna yanked the window open, the sound of splintering would echoing in the torrential storm outside. There was their escape, but they couldn't leave Ben behind. "Go!" she yelled, pushing Sarah out as quickly as she could, then turning back to grab Ben. Yet the figure had not retreated. It was right there, towering, the edge of the hood barely revealing a glimpse of an eyeless face twisted in anticipation. Frozen, Jenna felt the weight of dread wrap around her like a suffocating blanket. She didn't know if they could outrun what was coming, but with a primal instinct she pulled Ben towards the window. "Jump!" But before they could react, the looming figure surged forward. Jenna shoved Ben through the opening just as the darkness began to envelop her. "Mommy, no!" Ben cried out, reaching back, but she was already locked in battle with whatever horror had determined to claim her. It all hung in the air, uncertain and agonizing, as the storm continued to rage outside. What kind of nightmare had they awakened? Just when Jenna thought all was lost, the world exploded into blinding light, and she grasped the splintered edge of reality, clinging to what would come next. The blinding light enveloped Jenna like a warm embrace, momentarily washing away the cold, creeping dread. For a split second, her senses were torn from the nightmare, leaving only the sensation of being suspended in time. Then, just as swiftly, the world righted itself. She found herself sprawled on the living room floor, drenched, chest pounding. The storm's howling winds could still be heard outside, but the terrible figure was gone. Panic knotted her stomach. "Ben!" she cried, scanning the room. "Mommy, I'm here." Ben's voice pierced the haze. Jenna jerked her head to the side, relief flooding her when she saw Ben crouched near the wall, tears glistening on his cheeks. "Where is Sarah?" Jenna asked, her heart starting to race again. The warmth of relief quickly faded as she noticed Mr. Thompson sitting against the corner, his eyes wide and unseeing, his lips moving without sound. "Mr. Thompson!" she shrieked. She rushed to him, shaking his shoulders. "Wake up!" His gaze flickered back to life. The light it got her, he stammered, eyes darting around as if searching for something lost. "We have to find her." "Find who?" she demanded, urgency clawing at her throat. "What are you talking about?" "Sarah," he blurted, his voice rising to a fever pitch. "She is gone." Jenna's heart sank. Her blood turned cold as the realization hit her. It wasn't just a nightmare. "We need to go outside. Now." But as she stood, the shadows felt alive again, the corners of the room deepening, curling like tendrils reaching for her. "Sarah," a whisper echoed, thin and haunting. It crawled up Jenna's spine, each letter thick with menace. "Ben, stay close," Jenna shouted, dragging him along. They moved to the door, but hesitation gripped her. The house felt wrong. The air was charged, and every creak of the old floorboards sent jolts of fear through her. They stepped onto the porch, rain-soaked and drenching. The storm swirled, mists curling like ghosts in the depths of the yard. Where do we look? Ben asked, his small hand trembling in hers. Around the house maybe she ran, Jenna mumbled, though doubt twisted in her mind. Or no, Mr. Thompson interrupted. This isn't just the storm. It wants us. It wants Sarah. She turned to him, annoyance flaring. What do you mean? He backed away, glancing nervously into the yard where the darkness pooled. You saw the figure. It feeds on fear, it watches us, waiting for our weakest moments. We have to stay strong or risk losing everything. Just then, a shriek echoed through the rain. It wasn't just the cry of the wind, it was Sarah, pleading. The sound wrung Jenna's heart until it ached. Sarah. Jenna screamed, her voice lost in the chaotic storm. The shadows twisted and writhed, forming claw-like shapes that reached toward her in the night. Mr. Thompson took a shaky step back. We can't go out there. Shut up. Jenna fired back, adrenaline coursing through her. I'm not leaving her. You don't understand, we have to find her. The world felt like it was closing in, a death grip tightening around her chest. The darkness seemed alive, writhing like a living thing. The whispers heightened into a frantic chorus, calling her name. Mommy! Jenna spun, her eyes darting frantically across the yard, searching the shadows. Where are you? Ben's grip tightened as he inched closer, emotions pulling taut in silence. What if we're not supposed to find her? He whispered, fear etched across his innocent features. What if we are? Jenna threw back, panic igniting her resolve as she stepped into the darkness, every part of her screaming to turn away. But her child called to her, and suddenly the shadows shifted. Mommy! Help! Sarah! But the screams morphed, shifting into laughter, wild and unhinged. Jenna's heart dropped as they melted into the chilling swirl of the night. Stay close, Ben. We're going for her. She felt the weight of darkness drawing them in. But which way was real? Every step deeper yielded more horrifying whispers. And soon, in the back of her mind, she felt doubt creep in. What if they weren't alone? As the laughter grew louder, chilling certainty took hold. What if they awakened something worse? The storm raged on, but out in that chaotic night, something awaited them hungry. With a deep breath threading its way through fear, Jenna resolved to find Sarah even if it cost them everything. Would they follow echoes into the night, or would something follow them back? Jenna pressed forward, the darkness curling around her like a suffocating shroud. Each step felt heavier, as if the very ground were dragging her back. Where are you, Sarah? She called again, her voice trembling. The night responded with silence, thick and oppressive. Only the relentless rain drummed against the porch, adding urgency to her search. Ben's grip on her hand tightened. Mommy, it's too dark, I can't see anything. She shot him a reassuring glance, even though her heart pounded with fear. We have to keep moving. We'll find her. Promise. As they descended the steps, the shadows seemed to deepen, pooling like ink on the wet ground. Jenna forced herself to breathe, sharpened the focus in her mind. But it was difficult amidst the echo of wild laughter that surrounded them, bouncing off the trees like a mocking chorus. Ben, stay close, she warned, pulling him along the slippery path. She turned towards the garden, where the thorny bushes branched out like skeletal fingers. We'll check the backyard first. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the yard, revealing a fleeting shape darting among the trees. With a gasp, Jenna halted. Did you see that? Ben nodded, eyes wide. It was Sarah. His voice quavered, barely above a whisper. Stay here, Jenna instructed, her heart racing. She took a step forward, drawn toward the movement in the dark. With each breath, the air felt thicker, charged with something sinister. Sarah, she called out again. And then, she heard another laughter. But this was deeper, more resonant. It sent chills down her spine. The sound twisted in her ears. It wasn't her daughter's laughter. It came from behind the old oak tree, its trunk wide and gnarled, thick tendrils sprawling outward like a twisted grin. Jenna's heart sank as she approached, stepping cautiously, trying to steady her shaking hands. "Sarah, are you there?" Nothing. Only the wind howled in response. Another bolt of lightning cut through the sky, and she stumbled back. There, nestled in the branches, was a doll Sarah's favorite. The wooden figure was drenched, face smudged. Horrified, she reached for it, feeling the chill seep through her skin as she touched it. Suddenly, the laughter erupted again, louder, filling her ears and echoing inside her skull. It was different, layered, as if a cacophony of children were all taunting her at once. Jenna's breath hitched. "Ben, we have to go back," she yelled, turning, desperately looking for him among the towering branches and oppressive darkness. But when she scanned the area, dread unfurled within her. He was gone. "Ben." Her voice was a panic-stricken wail. "Ben, answer me. Mommy." His voice was a faint call, disembodied and distant, riding the wind from the house. With a surge of adrenaline, Jenna spun back toward the looming outline of their home. Heart racing, she ran, the rain pummeling her, the shadows clawing at her ankles. "Mommy." This time, his voice was closer but tinged with despair. The house loomed overhead as she reached the porch, breathless and desperate. "Ben, I'm coming." But there, standing at the door, was a figure, blocking her way. It was too dark to see clearly. "Let me in," she shouted, fear pulsing through her. The figure shifted, revealing a face, but not one she recognized. It was twisted into an otherworldly grin, eyes glowing with a dangerous light. "You shouldn't have come looking for her." Jenna with a primal instinct. Jenna stumbled back, a scream tearing from her throat. "Ben." Suddenly, the world went silent, and it was only the man's echoing laughter resonating in the vast emptiness. "Your fear is delicious just like that." The figure vanished into the shadows, leaving Jenna to confront the abyss. She teetered on the precipice between hope and despair as she turned back to face the night. "Where's my son?" She felt every word tremble on the brink of terror. The darkness thickened, waiting the storm was only beginning. The worst was yet to come. What had they awakened in their desperation? What darkness had they stirred from slumber? The night had become an insatiable predator, and now it hunted them. Jenna's heart clawed at her chest as she stumbled back, absorbing the weight of the man's haunting smile. The night felt alive, casting her fears into a deeper abyss. She was alone, utterly alone, with only the darkness pressing in around her. "Ben." She screamed again, voice cracking under the strain. The wind carried nothing but silence, wrapping around her like a noose. A sudden gust of wind sent shivers racing down her spine. Jenna's instincts kicked in. She turned on her heel, desperation igniting her resolve. She sprinted around the house, water splashing around her shoes, soaking through her clothes. Frantically, she called out into the night, each plea swallowed by the malevolent atmosphere. "Ben, please." Her voice soared as the rain pelted harder, each droplet feeling like tiny needles on her skin. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision, teasing her with shapes that flickered and disappeared. She lost track of where to go. Should she retreat to the safety of the house or navigate deeper into the night? Time felt fluid, stretching and contracting like the shadows that surrounded her. From the gap between two trees, more laughter erupted, carrying a quality that made her stomach churn. It twisted up, then down, wrapping around her heart in a vice-like grip. "Ben." She tried again, her voice an echo of sheer terror. The laughter transformed into whispers, each word foreign yet chillingly familiar. "Mommy, it's fun here." Jenna's breath quickened. Where was her son? This I senti fun. "Come home," she urged, barely sure of her own words. The thought of Ben being taken was a dagger to her mind. She knew she had to push further, despite the biting cold that cut through to her bones. Lightning illuminated the landscape again. Without thinking, she darted toward the echoes of what seemed to be Ben's voice, only to come face to face with the same twisted figure that had blocked her earlier. He materialized between the trees, slowly stepping forward, his grin widening while shadows flickered around him. "Why search for what you cannot find?" he asked, eyes glimmering with malice. "Where is my son?" Jenna cried, fury mixing with despair. She took a step back, feeling the earth give under her feet. With a sudden and shocking movement, he raised an arm, pointing toward the hollow of the ancient oak tree. "Look," he growled. "If you want him, welcome him back to the shadows." Jenna's breath hitched as she glanced toward the tree. Beneath its gnarled roots, movement flickered. She felt the pull of fear claw at the edges of her sanity. "That's not Ben," she yelled, aware of the wildness edging into her voice. "Senti it?" the figure retorted, a mocking lilt creeping into his tone. "Children are drawn to darkness. You know that." Before she could respond, flashes of light erupted across the yard. Figures began to materialize amongst the trees. Jenna squinted into the chaos. It was a group, spectral shapes blending in with the nightmares that clung to her. Laughing children, playful and yet haunting, emerged from the shadows, their eyes hollow. "Come play with us," a chorus of voices echoed, dripping with sinister enthusiasm. Jenna staggered back, cold sweat seeping down her spine. "No," she shouted, trying to shield her vision from sight and sound. But the shadows moved closer, pulling her in every direction. "Join us, Mommy, forever." The shadows wrapped around her ankles, dragging her backward, forcing her to the ground as screams clanked against the thunder. The laughter crescendoed, rising deep within her chest, drowning out her thoughts. Jenna clawed at the dirt, struggling to pull herself free. She had to save Ben. But as the children drew nearer, she felt herself start to fade, torn between the urge to fight and an overwhelming sense of surrender. Just as everything blurred around her, a sliver of hope flickered, the sound of Ben's voice breaking through the storm. "Mommy, Ben," she shouted with a final resolve, fighting against the pull that promised to swallow her whole. However, the laughter returned, drowning out her cries. The question echoed within her. Was Ben truly lost to her, or was there still a chance? As her vision clouded with darkness, the last thing Jenna felt was the cool hand of those children clutching at her heart. What awaited her in that darkness? And what had she awakened that night? Jenna's world blurred into a chilling vortex as she clawed against the shadows. The laughter of those hollow-eyed children echoed in her mind, taunting her, weaving through her desperation like a spider's web. Each second felt like an eternity, the pounding rain blurring her senses. "Ben!" she screamed one last time, a sound of anguish that ricocheted into the void. Suddenly, the laughter ceased. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Jenna's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a frantic bird trapped within. She felt the cool fingers of the children release their grip, almost tenderly. But as she lay on the soaked ground, gasping for breath, something shifted within her. The twisted figure lingered at the edge of her vision, a specter against the roiling night. "You want him?" he drawled, his voice a sickly sweet syrup. "Then you must accept the truth." As Jenna managed to stand, confusion twisted through her gut. "What truth?" "Every shadow hides a secret," he replied, tilting his head, revealing a grotesque smile that revealed teeth too sharp. "You think you are searching for your son. But what if—" He paused for dramatic effect, letting the tension hang like low-hanging fog. "What if you are the real prey?" In that moment, the wind picked up, swirling around her like a banshee lamenting through the trees. Jenna felt disoriented, clutching her head, trying to comprehend the horrific implications. She ran towards the oak tree, forced by instinct to seek the comfort of the only familiar thing in this terror-laden nightmare. The roots twisted and curled like broken fingers beckoning her closer. But when she crouched beside them, she realized it wasn't just fear holding her there. It was a horrifying curiosity that surged through her. What if Ben was indeed with them? What if this wasn't just about finding him? The laughter returned, an unpredictable crescendo like the crack of thunder. "Join us," they sang, the haunting melody intertwining with the storm. The children emerged from the murky depths, their eyes glowing like embers in the dark. They danced, unworried about the deluge, their vacant smiles belying the malicious intent behind their play. "Please," Jenna shouted, the desperation clawing at her throat, as she tried to distance herself from their cheerful chaos. But her footing slipped. The ground beneath her was unstable, drenched in forgotten memories and broken promises. Then, all at once, the shadows around her erupted. A figure emerged, a mix of gleeful giggles and sinister glares. In a heartbeat, it was as if she was flung back into a time she thought long buried the night she had lost Ben, deeper still than the depths of her anguish. "Mommy, don't you want to play?" Ben's voice sliced through the chaos, clear and innocent amidst the taunting chorus. Jenna's heart lurched. "Ben," she cried, reaching out frantically, straining against the approaching darkness. But as she leaned closer, the children whispered fervently, "He can stay if you join us." The wind howled again, mingling with their laughter. Forever and ever the weight of their invitation pressed against her chest. Jenna felt her breath quicken, the thrill of joy and dread merging into one. What did forever actually mean when entwined with shadows? "Don't let them take you," she shouted, her voice almost a plea for herself. But as her arms trembled, the figure returned, whispering sweet nothings into her ear, laced with malice. "Why fight it? You wanted him. You found the darkness. Now become part of it." In a desperate lunge, she escaped the pulling shadows, but the children shifted, their urgency growing. The cold fingers grazed her skin. She was losing her grip on reality, teetering on the edge of the abyss. And then she heard it, a crackle in the air, an anomaly in the storm, a soft, pleading whisper that could have only been Ben's. "Mommy?" The darkness felt alive, crawling up her legs, whispering promises too tempting to ignore. She had to make a choice, and she felt time slipping away like sand through her fingers. "Which path will you take, Jenna?" the figure questioned, each word dripping with honeyed malice. The shadows await as the children rushed closer with their wide eyes and bubbling giggles. Jenna's heart raced. She was trapped, suffocated by the weight of her decision. Which side would she choose? What price was she willing to pay to retrieve the only thing that mattered? And then she saw something flash beneath the tree roots, glistening in the damp darkness, a glimpse of hope laced with terror. What was it? Was it the answer she sought, or another trap waiting to ensnare her? Ticking seconds pulsed in her ears, and the choice hung in the balance. Jenna's breath quickened as she knelt before the twisted roots, a haunting light flickering beneath the wet earth. What was it? Was it Ben? Or was it another sinister trick from the darkness? The children's giggles coiled around her, squeezing tighter with each moment that passed. "Mommy, you can play with us." Their voices chimed like tiny bells, eerily sweet yet filled with a chilling undercurrent. "All it takes is a little step forward." The ground pulsed beneath her, rhythm matching her racing heart, but she didn't move. A flash of steel drew her gaze. It glimmered, taunting her from the soil, beckoning her closer. Jenna's instincts screamed at her to run, but hope clawed within her chest. What if it was indeed a path back to Ben? "Come to us." They danced, an unholy circle of joy and malice. The shadows rippled like liquid smoke around them, casting grotesque shapes that twisted in the flickering light. It was mesmerizing, frightening, a dance of death. "If I go to them, what happens to me?" she thought, the question pulsing like a heart in her chest. Every instinct screamed to flee, but a part of her felt rooted, entranced by the hope that her boy was near. "Mommy!" The voice was clearer now, sharp as glass. She grasped onto it like a lifeline. "I'm lonely." "No!" Jenna roared, the sound slicing through the laughter. "Stay back. I won't let you take me." The laughter turned sinister, twirling into a maniacal cacophony. "It's too late. You're already here with us." That twisted figure rose from the shadows, his laughter joining the children's, creating a melody that clawed at her sanity. "You're part of our world now, Jenna." He stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with a darkness that promised eternity. In those moments of spiraling terror, she felt something beneath her fingertips, a small, cold object. Tentatively, she grasped it, pulling it from the damp ground. It was a locket, engraved with her name and the date she lost Ben, her last tie to a time when light filled her life. "Ben, you have to help me." she called out, holding the locket tightly. At once, the figure jerked back, his smile fading with each heartbeat. "Do not invoke that name," he hissed, a vein of real fear cutting through his sweet facade. The children, too, paused, their laughter dying like a flock of startled birds. "Mommy!" Ben's voice was more desperate now. "Please." The tension in the air thickened, pressing against Jenna's chest. She could feel their hold weakening, but it was still a terrible fight against the tide of despair. "What do you want from me?" she shouted over the rising wind. The twisting darkness rippled around her, the laughter now receding towards the treeline, as if in a retreat. "You know what we want," the figure replied, his voice eerily calm, a deceptive lullaby. "Join us or lose him forever." A wild idea sparked inside her. She clutched the locket, feeling its weight as terror mingled with bravery. "No, I want to become like you," she cried, brandishing the locket as a shield against the growing shadows. And just like that, the air shifted. The children's bright eyes dimmed, their laughter turning to low whispers as they shrank back. The figure's grin faltered as Jenna's steady resolve began to illuminate the darkness around her. In that fragile moment, Jenna felt all that was lost fighting back. She refused to succumb. No more. But the darkness wouldn't let go easily. "Come play, Jenna. You know you want to." The figure taunted, his voice slithering through the air. "Who will you sacrifice to save him?" The choice hung there, heavy and suffocating, as the shadows encroached closer. Would she risk everything for her son, or would the darkness consume them both? Something shifted behind her, and she turned, feeling tremors of uncertainty ripple through her. What had her choice awakened? And as the storm intensified, so did the whispers, promising secrets hidden in the dark, waiting to be unleashed. The shadows pressed tighter, swirling like smoke around her, each whisper clawing at her sanity. Jenna's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage like a wild animal trying to escape. The air was thick, electric, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling. "Who will you sacrifice to save him?" The figure's words crawled under her skin, tingling with dread. Sacrifice? What did that even mean? She had no intentions of losing anyone else, not again. "Ben!" She screamed into the whirl of darkness, her voice cracking. "I want to let them take you." The night trembled, as if reacting to her desperation. The laughter of the children surged again, piercing, but there was hesitation in the madness now. Their tiny faces twisted in confusion, flickering between joy and anger. The figure loomed larger, the shadows swirling around him like a cape of despair. "Come to us," they chorused, their sweet voices now draped in an icy hiss. "It's so much fun in the dark." Something in her snapped years of grief, of loneliness, reforming into a fiery resolve. She tightened her grip on the locket, as if channeling all her love for Ben into that small piece of metal. "No," she shouted, stepping back, defying the darkness. "I want to give up." Around her, the ground quaked, roots clawing upwards, trying to pull her down. She stumbled, her heart a wild drumbeat as she fought to stay upright. Fear wrapped around her throat like a noose, but she wouldn't yield. She had come too far. Suddenly, she remembered the locket, the memory it held. She flicked it open, revealing a tiny picture of Ben, bright-eyed and full of life. He was her everything. When the light from the locket spilled out, it cast a warm glow, pushing the darkness back, if only for a moment. "Look at this," she cried, holding the locket high. "This is love. It's stronger than your darkness." For a heartbeat, the world seemed to hold its breath. The children fell silent, their eyes widening as they gazed at the glowing warmth. The figure faltered, his sneer dissolving into something like doubt. Jenna pressed forward, emboldened. "Ben is still out there," she screamed fiercely. "And I will find him. All of you get away from me." The shadows recoiled, revealing a path, a gnarled, darkened way leading deeper into the woods. A temptation flickered in the air, thick and treacherous, as if the forest itself was watching. It felt both inviting and full of danger, the pulse of the earth under her feet beckoning her to move. But the figure wasn't done. His voice slithered back, dripping with malice. You want him back, Jenna? Very well. But know this: every choice has a price. The further you go, the more you'll lose. She could feel the weight of his words digging into her mind. What if it did cost her more than she was willing to bear? But Ben's voice crept back in, faint yet unwavering. Mommy, don't leave me. Hold on, Ben. I'm coming, she shouted, her voice shredding through the air like a promise. With that, she dashed forward into the shadows, heart hammering, praying the light of the locket would guide her through the chaos. But straying deeper brought new horrors. Each step felt like moving through a thick fog, the shadows warping into nightmarish shapes, faces she almost recognized, twisted in agony. Just then, a chilling howl cut through the night, freezing her in place. Who or what shared this darkness with her? She took a breath, steadying herself against the fear. But was it worth it? The path twisted unpredictable beneath her, taunting her with doubts, pulling her further into the unknown. With each cautious step, the shadows whispered secrets, chilling her to the bone. Then, a voice pierced through the shadows. Mommy, please. Jenna froze. Was that really Ben? The fleeting glimpse of hope and fear twisted together in a knot in her stomach as she found herself staring deeper into the abyss. What if she threaded the needle too far? What if she lost herself trying to save him? And then, just as she was about to step deeper, a sickening snap echoed behind her. The ground trembled violently, and something emerged. From the darkness, a shadow so massive and dark, it absorbed the light of the locket. What had she awakened? A new level of terror unfurled before her, and she stood at the edge, trapped between saving Ben and confronting whatever nightmare was now behind her. Jenna's heart thundered in her chest as she stared into the shadowy figure that loomed behind her, the air buzzing with a threatening energy. It pulsed and writhed, a consuming darkness that felt like it had a will of its own. The figure gradually took shape, monstrous and terrifying, resembling the very face of every nightmare she had ever suffered, twisted, menacing, and impossibly real. Mommy, please. The voice was Ben's, echoing through the thick mist, pulling her deeper into dread. I'm scared. Panic surged through Jenna, a violent rush that forced her every instinct into overdrive. I want to let you take him, she shouted, raising the locket high, the flickering light casting fleeting patterns on the monstrous grotesque form. The shadows recoiled, momentarily pushed back by the warmth of the locket, but not for long. Every choice has a price, the shadow ominously crooned, its voice chilling Jenna to her very marrow. She could see its lips curled into a smile, a dark promise etched upon its hideous features. With every heartbeat, the gravity of her situation sunk deeper. I'm here, Ben, she yelled, knowing the darkness was feeding off her fear, drawing strength from her uncertainty. Just beyond the gnarled trees, she could see the outline of their house, a sanctuary that felt oddly tethered to her past. I'm coming for you, Mommy. Ben's small voice braved through his own terror, desperation lacing each syllable. Determined, Jenna stepped back toward the direction of the light, even as the shadows writhed, reaching out for her like angry fingers. With all her might, she sprinted toward the amber glimmer of the locket, each heartbeat matching the rhythm of her resolve. No, you can't have him. The monster let out a roar, like the howling wind tearing through the trees, and Jenna felt the ground shake beneath her. But she pressed on, fear and desperation mingling into a fierce drive. She couldn't afford to lose. She wouldn't allow the darkness to claim another child. Each step surged with intensity as she called out to Ben. The memories of their moments together, playful afternoons, bedtime stories, birthday laughs, all flooded over the fear, bathing her mind in a fleeting warmth. Hold on, Ben. She raced toward the brightness, everything around her blurring into a swirl of rain and shadow. With one hard push, she ducked past the grasping darkness, finding herself at the ancient oak tree again. Its twisted roots bore the weight of history and pain, but among them, she caught a glimpse of flicker of movement, a rhythm that felt like home. Ben, she screamed, and then, emerging from the shadows that clung fiercely to the tree, A small figure stumbled into the light. It was Ben, eyes wide and terrified, but he was there, real and tangible. She lunged toward him, arms outstretched, heart swelling with relief. "Mommy!" he cried, running into her embrace as she pulled him close, the safety of their bond sealing the cracks in her heart. But as she held him, a dark whisper coiled around them like smoke. "I warned you," the figure hissed, now shifting back into the shadows. "Every choice demands a sacrifice." "No," Jenna shouted defiantly. "I'm not afraid of you. You'll never take him." The light radiated brighter as she held Ben, fueling her worth, love, and fierce protectiveness. In that moment, the storm outside surged violently, the rain lashing against the world. But here within this embrace they were safe. The night's shadow flickered, hesitated, and recoiled. With a sudden flash of determination, Jenna plunged the locket into the ground, using it as a tether. "This is our choice," she declared, the energy blooming in vivid colors, pulling her and Ben into the warm glow of love. In a final surge, the darkness screamed, thrashing against its own imprisonment as light encased the woods. The laughter of those spectral children echoed, but this time tempered with a higher harmony, as Jenna and Ben stood firmly together, gazing defiantly at the encroaching shadows. "No more," Jenna whispered, her voice unwavering, as if acknowledging defeat. The darkness swirled and dissipated, leaving a crisp, clean stillness in its wake. The figures dwindled, shadows receding into the depths of the night. The storm began to subside, leaving only the soft patter of dwindling rain. "Mommy, we beat him?" Ben asked, wide-eyed. "Yes, sweetie, we did," Jenna replied, holding him tightly. As she stepped out of the embrace of darkness together, she felt the warmth of the world around them returning. The path forward illuminated, glimmering with whispers of hope. The shadows no longer felt like a weight over them, but remnants of a nightmare now laid to rest hand in hand. They turned toward their house, now appearing like a beacon against the dark sky. "Let us go home, buddy," Jenna said, a sense of peace wrapping around her like a warm blanket. And as they walked back toward the light, the storm finally released its grip, the clouds parting to reveal a brilliant star-studded sky, each star a reminder of love conquering fear. But as they crossed the threshold, Jenna couldn't help but look back into the darkness one last time. Had they truly left it behind? The air hung thick with secrets, but they had turned the tide. They had chosen love. And in that moment, there was hope. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. This is the moment to show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Your engagement is what keeps these stories alive.